All right, dearly beloved, welcome to the 2025 Signature Workshop Marketing Workshop Series. We could have named that better. That was the name we gave it, though. So here we are. This has now become an annual affair for Tad and I for the last, this is year number three, around supporting all of you to just get crystal clear and grounded in your marketing strategy. So, a lot of the focus this week is going to be around supporting you to find a marketing strategy that feels really good, that doesn't require you to be on social media, that actually works. And other parts of the week are going to be specifically around how do you create and tour a signature workshop. So we're going to be getting deep into that. I've got a whole new workshop plan for you on Friday. Wednesday is going to be around thriving in business without social media, where we're going to be teaching you the 19 relationships-based marketing strategies that I've been using the last 8+ years in all my various businesses and client projects that help you to grow your business without social media. So we're going to be talking about licensing, partnerships, how do you create strategic alignments, collaborations, etc., etc. If you haven't seen that one, or if you have seen a previous version, it just keeps getting better, which is the whole purpose of a signature workshop. And today, Tad's going to be doing the 7 fundamentals of marketing. And this is a workshop, perhaps you've seen a previous version. I haven't seen this workshop for a year now, so I'm really excited because I know you've been working a whole bunch on this one, Tad. And that's the beauty of it is you create one workshop that you deliver again and again and again and again on as many virtual and in-person stages to finally grow your audience and tap into new people who want to hear what it is that you have to say and who are excited to receive your gifts in the world. And then from there, you call them up the mountain, you offer them your programs, your services, etc., and you build a relationship with all those new people who join your email list. So I'm not going to waste any more time here. I want to pass the floor over to you, Tad. Thanks for showing up here, for being here, for sharing this work that you're doing.
Thank you, Bradley. Yeah, I mean, I remember when very distinctly Bradley and I were at a party on Salt Spring, and we were both talking about what was coming up next in our businesses. And he was talking about the signature workshop piece that just get up in front of people and talk about what you do. That this was the marketing revelation. And I said, "Oh my God, that's how I grew my business was touring live workshops." And so he was talking about it more virtually. So we ended up, we just didn't hang out with anyone else the whole party. We just talked about it and realized that this is such a missing piece for most service-based entrepreneurs is this idea of an intro workshop, a signature workshop. And both of us had seen that there's a lot of tactics out there, but this one is kind of the main one. Whenever people, my clients ask me, how do I get clients? This is the thing I tell them. And as Bradley said, it's one workshop that you do over and over and over. And Bradley sat me down one day because I felt so overwhelmed. I was like, how do you condense 25 years of experience into an hour? It just seemed impossible. And he just walked me through the thing that he's going to walk you through on the Friday call. And that was the beginnings of it. That's what got it started. So no matter where you are, it may feel overwhelming, but it's overwhelming to think of it as completing the whole thing. But just, you can get little pieces now. You can start with something and grow from there. First time I did this workshop, it was 90 minutes long. I was aiming for 60, but this is the first thing to know. Every time you design a workshop, you'll make it too big. You're going to overpack it. That's how it is. Even with me telling you that, you saying, okay, I got it, Tad. I won't do that. You will. So I wasn't concerned, but I knew, I just didn't know how much I'd have to cut. So I figured half an hour. So I cut ruthlessly. It was excruciating and terrible to have to cut all because it was all the best stuff. I mean, 90 minutes, it's like I wasn't putting in any filler, but I had to cut a bunch of stuff. Awful. I did it again. 80 minutes. Oh no. Oh no. So I thought, God, I got to be more ruthless. Somehow that was only 10 minutes. I cut again. This time, I mean, the cuts went deeper. I thought the cuts were bad the first time. This time, I so much stuff, and I did it again. It was 80 minutes. Nothing had changed. So I finally got it down to a tight 60, which we'll see if we can do today. But this is the distillation of my work, since I started. And it does the 4 things that a signature workshop should do. 1, tells my story. 2, shares my point of view. Three gives a few little aha breakthrough moments, hopefully little paradigm shifts. And four, there's the invitation, which you'll see. It's doing a little cross purposes. The thing I'm going to invite as I go through this is there's two levels to take notes on. I mean, one, certainly ideas around marketing, fine, take notes on that. But I also want you to take notes on how I'm doing the presentation. Because I don't know, maybe you'll give me some feedback that'll make it better, but also you may have a question of like, why did you do it this way? And after we're done here, you can ask me those questions and we can talk about sort of the mechanics of why did I make the choices that I made. Because I'm not saying it's perfect at all, but there may be reasons I've done it the way I've done it. So there you go. So I'm going to get started. So this again is a workshop I would get hosted and have I've done it I think maybe about a dozen times this year to polish it so that it could be ready. And it's pretty good. I feel like it's 90% there. I still feel like there's a little bit of refinement on it, but mostly I'm pretty happy with it at this moment. All right. So, so just get this all Oop, up. Okay. Buckle up. Here we go. Okay, so welcome to the Seven Fundamentals of Ethical Marketing Masterclass with Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies. So I must be Tad, and you, of course, must be the hippies. Um, So this is, of course, a lead into the Craft and Tour Your Signature workshop training that Bradley and I are doing from September 10th through December 17th. Also, as we're going through this, I'm going to invite you to notice the seven fundamentals, how they relate to this signature workshop business. I'll make it explicit as I go, but just consider that as another meta level to be examining this from. So, by the end of this workshop, you're going to learn a bit about my story. You can hear what the seven fundamentals are, and I'll tell you about my ethical marketing starter kit and membership as well. You're going to hear my 30,000 foot take on marketing, be guided through a few micro reflections and polls, hopefully feel a big sense of relief that marketing can feel good and work, and feel clearer about where your marketing is strong and weak. So that's also another level you can be listening to this on is for your own business, like which of these fundamentals do you have in place? Which ones don't you? A note on overwhelm. All of this can be reviewed in my ethical marketing starter kit. Do keep breathing as we go. Don't stop. Um, just take what comes easiest, let the rest slide by, because it's not this is not all supposed to land for you today. This is just an hour. It's a kind of overview, but do take notes as we go through. Also, feel free to stay in touch. I'm on Instagram, Marketing for Hippies. My meme game is fire. So people come for the marketing, but they stay for the memes. So as we start, I'm going to invite everyone to think of a successful business that you admire. We're going to come back to it later, but it's important that both are true. Successful meaning they're making money, they're doing well, yeah. But also you admire them, probably they're ethical. So I probably don't think of a coach because we that may be the default. But I really invite you to think of like there's a local business in town, there's a restaurant, there's a clothing shop, there's a craft store, there's a bakery, whatever it is, but they're crushing it. They're doing really well. Maybe they've been in business for quite a while and you admire them. It's the business that when your friends come to town, that's where you take them. I could name a bunch of businesses in Edmonton like this. So uh, let's start with this. We got to start with the desperation piece because so many entrepreneurs I meet feel a kind of low level of desperation. And there's this sense of, is it even possible to make a business like this work? Does anybody do it? Why is it that so many coaches in business and holistic practitioners fail and never make any real money? So if you're feeling desperate, that's okay. That's what we're here to talk about. Uh, and when people feel desperate, what I've noticed is there's four main approaches people take. The first one is I'm going to get another degree. That may be familiar for some of you. I just get another certification, another modality under my belt. And that's what's going to make the business work. The challenge is that almost never does, but it does increase your debt. Number two, getting distracted. We've all got these black demon boxes at this point, late at night, and so much time gets frittered away, doom scrolling or, sharing memes or whatever we're doing, watching cat videos. So, um, we get distracted as a way to deal with the desperation. It's just so intense and we gotta not focus on that for a while. We get discouraged, of course. Of course, we get discouraged, but also we can get deceptive. Meaning this, when people are desperate, I think this is where we're prone to fall for the manipulative tactics, meaning like using them because money's tight and somebody's saying, hey, you can double your revenue. And then you take the course and they suggest some shady tactic. But if it's really desperate, there's at least some part of it that's thinking, is it that shady though? Is it? I mean, and of course, they're happy to give you the rationales for it. Well, don't people have trouble making decisions? I mean, if you don't, do you believe in what you do? Does it help people? So if they don't get your service, then aren't you hurting them? I mean, there's all these rationales that we get, and we become deceptive. Now, but here's can anyone relate with any of those four in the chat? I'd love to hear. Is any of that familiar for you? Does any of this land? Because I mean, certainly all four of these have been faithful friends for me. But here's the challenge with them. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yes. Okay. Here's the challenge with all four of these, and I invite you to take a good look at them. All four of these make the desperation worse. Makes sense? Like none of these actually fix it. All of these, at the end of the day, you're more desperate than you were. So, in the chat, I'd love to hear from you. What are the things you've seen in the marketing world and your industry that feel deeply and profoundly unethical that you're told to do? It's like, oh, in order to get clients, you've got to do this. What are those things where it's like, oh my God, I can't, there's no way I could do this. This is so gross. Or maybe you did it and you got busted and you just felt so awful, like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. Just mortified and ashamed. Yeah. So Maya saying pushing. Yeah, just as a meta overarching level, that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah, push. Yeah, false urgency. Imply that the results are guaranteed. Yeah, fake scarcity. Yeah, I perceive a lot of gatekeeping and FOMO urgency. Like, yeah, you're only going to learn the stuff if you get in there, which is one of the reasons I love the signature workshops too, is it's just kind of here it is. Here's my point of view. You can't put everything in an hour, but you can share a lot. Right. The response to our last offering was unbelievable when no one signed up, which I suppose is also unbelievable. Yeah, huge claims, overpromising. Keep overcoming objections despite there being zero fit. Yeah, promising a quick fix for big issues. Right. Someone asked me to think of all the ways I could find financing for an expensive program. Now I have to pay that off. Yeah. Um, yeah, always be selling. And if they say no, sell harder, sell faster, sell, sell, sell. Okay, these are all great. I won't read them all, but this is the kind of thing that I heard too when I was starting. And you don't need to do those things to succeed. Any of those things that we just read, none of those are required. They all make it actually more difficult in the long term. So here's my pitch for this call. Depth is the antidote to desperation. Those four things we covered are not, but depth is. And there's a lot of things we can deepen. Certainly our commitment, our level of connection with our clients, our consistency, all of that can be deepened and has to be deepened, I think, for a business to work. But I want to talk about some other things. But first, my story. So briefly, here it is. 1994, graduated high school in Edmonton, and I was volunteering for a franchise of Tony Robbins. Eventually, I got hired to do sales, and I was learning from all these cats, which will be familiar to some of you, unfortunate folks. And not that everything they taught is bad. It's just there's a lot of push in this stuff. And I wanted to go to Tony Robbins Program Mastery University so bad, and it was so expensive. And so I started trying to fundraise for it at like 18 years old. And I was calling everybody I knew, and I called my Uncle Art, not my actual uncle, friend of the family, babysat me as a kid. And I schmoozed him pretty hard. I don't remember exactly what I said. I just remember I was trying to be I was using every sales NLP tool I had, trying to be very convincing, charming, and have him not notice that I was doing that. And at a certain point in the conversation, my Uncle Art, who's a soil scientist, who's the sweetest, loveliest, man, snapped at me. And he said, Tad, you don't need to wheel and deal me. And it hurt bad because I thought, how did a Waldorf kid become a slick salesman? Like that's me as Joseph, a school play. But how did I go from that to being a wheeler and dealer? It just wasn't how I saw myself, but suddenly I was seen that way. Then the whole franchise, the Tony Robbins franchise, collapsed. And I did a bunch of other stuff. I did these social justice, environmental summer camps, anti-globalization protests, got involved in the local economies movement, trying to support independent local businesses. And then through storytelling and mythology and working with Stephen Jenkinson, a lot of culture work. And so all of those threads have become woven into my business. But over all those years, especially the early years, from 95 through 2001, I had all these friends kept asking for my help. We'd be sitting at the Next Act bar in Edmonton, and they'd be sharing their business ideas, green, ethical business, holistic businesses, and I just knew more about marketing than them. Not particularly impressive at that point. I just knew more than them from my experience in the Tony Robbins franchise. So I was giving them help, and then in 2001, I led my first workshop. It was a weekend workshop. I had three people. On the second day, only two of them came back. The third one never returned my emails. It was pretty bad. But it got better. It got better. And the big question I had is how do I teach marketing in a way that honors my values? And there was no marketing for hippies for me back then when I started. I mean, I was one of the OGs of the kind of conscious ethical marketing scene. I looked and I just couldn't find many others back in the day. Mark Silver was probably one of the only ones who was doing something back then that I could find, anyways. So it's taken me all this time to cobble this together. And so now I've got this business, Marketing for Hippies. This is it. That's my homepage of my website. And I know people are often curious about the numbers. So this is where it's at right now, at least as of August 18th of this year. So it's going okay. Business is pretty good. Overall, things are doing pretty well. We're in a big growth phase right now, so cash flow is enormously tight, but overall, things are in a good place. And I didn't think, man, if you told me these numbers when I started, I just would have not believed that. So I know marketing feels overwhelming, so I might invite you all to take a deep breath. And for the next hour, your marketing is my problem. Yeah. I'll give it back to you at the end. You got to take it with you. But for the next hour, it's off your shoulders. Just relax. It's just story time with Uncle Ted. It's all gonna be good. So here's the alternative approach that I want to suggest. I call the seven fundamentals of ethical marketing. So again, we got to underline this. Depth is the antidote to desperation. But depth into what? What are we even talking about? Well, I could simplify it into three things, but I'll give you the full seven. Effectiveness, ethics, and beauty. So most of what we're talking about today is the effectiveness piece because it has to work. I mean, I think some people romanticize indigenous cultures in a way of like everything was just so spiritual, magical, but mostly traditional cultures are very practical. For all of our ancestors, things had to work. If you had a bow and arrow, it had to work. So craft and effectiveness is not the enemy of all things spiritual. It's where the spirituality appears. It gets to show up. Yeah, but that's surrounded by a much bigger circle of ethics because in my experience, uh, in the long term, ethics is the most effective thing. Ethics is what works. And we'll come back to that. But all of it is surrounded by this bigger circle of beauty. Martin Prechtel, he had a beautiful line where he said, be beautiful on the way to the answer. That is the answer. What's the point of doing any of this stuff if it makes the world uglier? And I could talk for a long time about the importance of beauty in the world and how there's a war on beauty. And of course, I'm not talking about the synthetic beauty, the impossible beauty standards. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the deep human beauty that all of our ancestral cultures have created, and a beauty that shows up in the way or doesn't in the ways that we are with each other. So to me, the effectiveness and ethics, those are the fundamentals, but beauty is the fundament. Beauty is the kind of ground that it all lays on. So that's another way to consider it. So mostly today we're going to talk about this little pyramid of effectiveness, but it's important to contextualize it that the real thing is down here. That's for me what it's all in service to. Okay, but let's start with ethics at the bottom of the pyramid. Why do I put this at the bottom? Why is this the kind of fundamental thing at the bottom? Because in the long term, almost all marketing is actually word of mouth. It's almost all reputation. Short term, it's not. Short term, all those tactics you listed at the beginning, they actually do work in the short term, but they don't work in the long term, as many of you have experienced on both sides of that equation. So, I mean, statistically, by every metric you can measure, reputation is the thing long term. So if we don't handle this, you get a bad reputation, and then everything you're doing, you have to work against that. And that makes everything that comes after either difficult or impossible. Some people, their reputation gets so bad they have to change industries. They have to move to a different town. You know what I'm saying? We've all met some of these sketchy people, and you warn people away from them, not because the work they do isn't good necessarily. That's sort of a side issue. It's that, well, they can sort of do the job, but they're going to cheat you in some way. They might be very skilled, but they're not trustworthy. So ethics is just where it has to start. I've done a whole like 2 hour, 2.5 hour webinar on the finer points of this, but the basics are, well, let's do a little poll first. Okay, so one sec. So just in the chat, what I'm going to invite you to do is on a scale from 1 to 10, how good does marketing feel, with 1 being the lowest? 1 is like, oh God, marketing feels like shit. I never want to do it. And 10 is, it's great. I love doing it. Actually, it's a beautiful, you know, part of life. Okay, so let's just see. Got 5, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. It's moved up to a 7.7. All right, 2, 8, 1, 9, 6, 4, 7, 5. Okay, we got all over the place. Okay, I mean, I'm sort of seeing it's, let's imagine an average of 5. But now here's the question. Why does this matter? How marketing feels? It almost seems like a side issue. Well, it's got to be effective, right? But here's the thing I found. If your marketing doesn't feel good, like if it's not at least at a 7 out of 10 or above, as a minimum, what happens is you will avoid it. Why? Because other things feel better. Like this thing. This feels better than spending time doing something that only feels like a 5. And if marketing feels really bad, I mean, you just don't do it. You just totally avoid it. You don't say you're avoiding it. You just are doing other important things, but we don't do it. And if the marketing feels bad to our clients, oh man, they start to avoid us. So this is not a side issue, whether marketing feels good or not. This is really central to the thing. And what I'm suggesting is when it feels deeply ethical, when you're doing it in a deeply ethical way, it will feel good. And most of this discomfort we have with marketing comes down to we're doing something that doesn't feel right. Yeah, so everyone try this. I'm going to just stop sharing for a little second, and I'm going to do a little gallery view. And if everyone go on camera, if you could, put your hands together like this. I'm having you go on camera because I want you to be able to see everybody else, so you don't think I'm just making this up. What's going to happen? Now, some of you, you're already familiar with this, so just play along. But those of you who aren't familiar, just prepare to be bamboozled. Okay. So your hands are like this, palm to palm, namaste position, yeah? And what I'm going to have you do is you're going to, just in a minute, I'm going to have you push as hard as you can. Look at everybody else, but you're going to push as hard as you can with your right hand. Push, push, push with your right hand, yeah. And then you're going to grab your left wrist. I want you to pull as hard as you can with your pull with your right hand, pull. Great. And drop your hands. So here's what I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but basically what I saw was this. I'll go back to normal view. Basically, what I saw was this. Urgh, this and this. What I did not see was this. But that's the second thing is what should have happened based on the instructions. I didn't say push back. I didn't say pull back. I just say push as hard as you can. So that should have been the thing. But nobody did. Why is that? Isn't that a mystery? Gave you very simple instruction. One thing to do. You only had one job, push. I didn't tell you push back, but you did. Ah, you copied me. You did what Simon did, not what Simon said. I see. But based on the instructions. But here's the point. I tell you what, though, if I'd done this and I dropped my hands and said push, it would have been the same thing. It would have been the same thing. Because it's not that you're copying me is the primary thing. It's that when you get pushed, you push back. When you get pulled, you pull back. I've seen this in marketing. People say, no, we don't do push marketing. We do pull marketing. Like, force is still okay. It's just which direction the force is going. Got it. Yeah, if you push, people will push back, even if that someone is still you. So in marketing, what happens so often is there's all this pressure, there's all this push, and then people push back, and we call that an objection. And how do we deal with the objection? Well, we have to overcome it. So you see what happens. You push, they push back, and then you counter push the push. That was a result of your initial push. So the idea is instead of pushing more, we try to identify, and diffuse the pressure. We try to figure out where is the pressure and we try to deal with that. So one of the big ahas for me was Ari Galper, a colleague of mine now, but he had this ad that was on Google for cold calling the reverse selling way. And I remember when I saw it, I was so curious because I'd been so burned by this pushy sales stuff. And I delved into his work. And what he said, he was the first person I heard this from. And now, if you're familiar with my work at all, I say this all the time, focus on the truth instead of focusing on the sale. Yeah, we focus on the truth. We don't focus on the sale. The truth of what? Well, is it a fit or not? That's the focus of every conversation. That's the focus of every sales letter, every bit of marketing is trying to get to the truth as quickly as possible of is this a fit? Because I tell you what, it is a fit or it isn't a fit. Period. You're not going to make it a fit if it's not a fit. Just like dating, it's kind of there or it isn't there. And if it's not there, you can't manufacture it. You can pretend, but of course that has consequences later, just like this. The focusing on the sale, the trying to get the sale, the trying to get people to say yes is what creates the pressure. That hidden agenda to get people to buy is the push. Yeah, and every action that comes from it is the push, which creates the pushback. And if you just focus on the truth of is this a fit, and you walk in not convinced it's a fit, and you have an honest conversation trying to get to the truth of that, then all of a sudden marketing starts to feel really good. Yeah. So now let's jump to the top. We're going to work our way back down because this is the ethics, but now we're in the effectiveness part. So I want to start at the top. So sharing, how do we share our work? So sharing, this is the tactics, right? This is the very practical aspect of are you going to use networking? Are you going to use social media ads? Are you going to use just social media in general to share your work? Are you going to do YouTube? Are you going to do Substack? Are you going to do posters? There's a lot of tactics out there. But here's the thing. They all work. Because as soon as Facebook realized you're an entrepreneur, it started giving you ads, didn't it? Of all the stuff you need to do. And if you just hovered your finger over one of those ads just for a second, it started giving you more. And it told you that what you clearly need is a membership. I mean, what kind of idiot are you that you don't have a membership? It's 2025. And then the next ad, it says memberships are for idiots. Why would you want a membership when you can have your own app? You could create a custom-made app. That's the secret to money. And somebody else says, why the hell would you invest all this time and money building an app when you could just write a book? A book is the thing, they all work. But here's the question. Which of those can you do sustainably over time? That's the question. Given that they can all work, they can all be effective. I mean, I promise you, they all do produce results to some extent. But one of the things that people don't look at is which one can and will I do sustainably over time. Some of you love writing, and some of you struggle with it. Yeah, some of you like making videos, some of you have the hardest time on video. If you're a paralytically shy introvert, why would you pick networking? But this is what happens. Somebody goes to a marketing event and they say networking and building relationships, this is the thing we've all got to get back to. And the introvert is trying to make themselves do it. And of course, then they don't. Or vice versa, the extrovert gets caught in a kind of marketing that has them at home alone on their computer all the time and they're dying. So, can you do it sustainably over time? I don't actually care what the tactic is. Um, but that's the thing. It includes the signature workshops. Is this something you could do sustainably over time? But this, I will say, is still the of the tactics, of all the tactics Bradley and I have come across, this is the one I most recommend. It's the thing I've found most immediately, quickly gets clients. People just get in front of people, talk about what you do, just share your work. If you just did this, even with no instruction from Bradley or I, but just tonight, you had a bunch of people, you got invited to talk for an hour about what you do. I promise you'd probably get a client from that because they get to know you, they get a sense of your vibe, they get to ask you questions, they get to learn a bit about your perspective. You see what I'm saying? It just seems like the most direct route. There's a lot of other, very slow, like social media can work, but it's a slow game. It's a building trust over time game and just getting in front of people. I think it's the best. So, of all the tactics that I could recommend, I'd recommend the signature workshop thing. And if this is not something you would do sustainably over time, it's just not going to work. Okay, but sharing is just the tip. It's kind of the tip of the spear, that pierces. But hubs, you can't just start with sharing. We got to talk about hubs and hub marketing. So a hub is, it's like the center of the wheel where all the spokes connect. That's the hub. And there, in every community, there are certain events where you can find everybody. There are certain groups people are all a part of, certain places they go, certain businesses they frequent, certain people who are really well connected to and really well respected by all these individual spokes. Those are the hubs. That's what I mean by that. I'll give you a story. This is the everything you need to know about hub marketing in one story. So the Girl Guides in Canada, this is how they fundraise is they sell cookies and they go door to door, just knocking on doors, just selling cookies. And why do we buy them? Because they manipulate us. They push forward the youngest, most adorable one. And who are you to shatter a child's dream? So we buy the cookies, and they're not that great. They're not terrible, but they're not great. But that's why we buy them. It's just rank manipulation from children. And but there's one girl guide, and she couldn't go door to door because she was in a wheelchair. And her father, and she really wanted to participate still. So her father built her a stand, like a lemonade stand. So this is, by the way, an interesting shift in marketing. What if instead of you trying to go to them, you get them to come to you? It's a better way. Okay, that's great. You want them to come to you, but where are you going to find the foot traffic? That's the thing. You got to have people find you. And if I were to say, if you could have a hamburger stand that could have one competitive advantage, only one, what would it be? I hear all sorts of things. It'd be organic. It'd be grass-fed beef. It'd be locally raised. It'd be the best sauces, the most, the hottest sauces, the best service, etc. But the truth is, there's only one competitive advantage that really matters. If you can only have one, I'll tell you what it is in case you want to open a hamburger stand at some point in your life. You want to put it right next to a hungry crowd. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, everything else is very secondary to that because you could have terrible burgers, but you're serving it outside of a bar at 2 a.m. when everyone's being let out and they're hungry. You got a mediocre donair stand, but it's at a festival at 2 a.m. and everybody's cold and hungry now. So location, location, location. That's the hubs thing. So where did they put this Girl Guide cookie stand? Well, where do you find people who are likely to have the munchies? Right outside of a weed shop. And they sold out all their cookies in 2 hours. It's brilliant. This is genius marketing. You should buy 10 boxes of cookies. Oh, I'm not that hungry. You will be. You got me there. Okay. So that's genius hub marketing. All right. The next level, you can't start with hubs. I mean, hubs is important. And by the way, I'll say this about the hub marketing thing. Any tactic you give me, we can make it work not just 10% better, like sometimes 10 times better, simply by applying hubs to it. For example, first time I ever did a workshop in Ottawa, I'd almost never been there. In high school, I knew almost nobody there. And yet, with 3 hours of work, I filled 2 day-long workshops with 120 people each. And it was 60 people each, 120 people total. 3 hours of work for 120 people. How did I do this? Well, I got lucky. I got connected with a hub. Her name was Heather Garrett, Planet Botanics, and she was a major hub in the holistic scene. I said, I'll give you 25 bucks per person who signs up for my day-long workshop. She said, great. She promoted it. She was the hub. Could I have gotten 120 people on my own? Sure. But cold? You start to do the math on what that would take. Cold emails to people individually. That's probably 1,200 emails to get. It's just so much more work versus her with an established list promoting me. So of course you're familiar with this idea, but I think we skip this a lot. And you post something on social media, some response. A hub posts the same thing on social media, bigger response. Yeah, you go to a networking event, you don't know anybody, but then you go talk to the host and you say, who should I talk to? Who might be a good connection for me? And they introduce you to the people. That networking event is now 10 times more valuable than it would have been. So, this hub marketing mindset, marketing by building community, building relationships, finding out where your people already are is so enormous. But you can't start there because underneath that is business model. Business model meaning the structure of your business, the architecture of your business, two sides to it, right? There's the inside of it, your own business systems, checklists, all that. Then there's the outside, which are your offers. And the idea here on the outside is that you create an offer that it's so good, people just say, shut up and take my money, right? And you all have something like that that you bought recently where it was just like, oh my God, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I need. What a price. Shut up, take my money. Stop talking. I'm buying. That's the goal. Because if you try to go to a hub and you don't have good offers, why would the hub promote it? If you don't have an offer that's really compelling and unique and clearly valuable, why is the hub going to get behind it and share it? They won't, is the thing. Part of what made Heather want to promote my workshop is it was a pay what you can day long workshop for her exact people, you know. That was just so easy for her to promote. So before the hubs, we have to have something we're offering that the hubs will be sharing up that's compelling. Which Bradley talks about a lot in terms of designing your sort of signature offer. Okay, so you do the signature workshop, but then what are people going to sign up for? What's after that? All of this stuff needs to be thought through in advance. But you can't start there because below that is POV, which I call point of view marketing. And this one, I don't know why this is not talked about more in marketing because it's so important. But here's the basic idea. Instead of me trying to make a case for you to hire me or buy from me, I'm making the case for an approach. Yeah. And here's the basic idea. If they don't buy your diagnosis, they're not going to buy your prescription. Or worse, they will. That's worse because now you have somebody buying who may not be a fit, and that's a refund and drama for you and disappointment for them. Yeah. But basically, if they don't buy your diagnosis, they won't buy your prescription. If they don't buy the concept, they're not going to buy the course. If they don't buy the premise, they're not going to buy your promise. They have to buy the idea before it. And I'll give an example here. I'll stop sharing. So I want you to imagine this. Now, of course, you all have a problem in your life, and it's a pretty bad problem. You're concerned about it. Maybe it's around money. Could be a health issue you're concerned about. Could be a relationship thing. Might be just a deep spiritual pit that you're in. Well, guess what? Right after this signature workshop is a workshop on that exact thing. And if I showed you the title, you'd be shocked. It was like they wrote it exactly for you in your life right now. And you say, well, okay, Tad's got a nice hat, seems trustworthy. I'll go. So you go. But the workshop, and by the way, when you log into the Zoom call for this workshop, it's really, you look at the headline and it's like they're spying on me. God, that's accurate to my situation. So it's relevant. You're excited. You're there, you're excited, you're leaning in. But then the workshop is fucking terrible. You've never been to a workshop so bad. It's not just the style of presentation. That's okay. It's the ideas are laughable. They're so bad. Like if you're struggling with candida, the workshop is saying you got to eat more refined sugar. You're struggling with the relationship stuff, and he's like, you just got to learn how to shame and blame your partner. Gaslighting, say it after me. Gaslighting. Like it's that kind of thing. It's so bad you don't leave. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like it's mediocre and you stay, it's bad and you leave, but then it gets so bad you're like, I just the popcorn comes out, you're like, I just need to know how it ends. I got this story. I can't not know where this is going. But when it gets to the end, the pitch is so good. It's a smooth pitch. I mean, there's a money back guarantee, there's testimonials, there's every tactic and trick you could think of for a good, solid, smooth pitch. They do the thing. Here's the question in the chat. Do you buy? In all honesty, would you buy from them? Okay, we got no, no, no. Capital no. No, 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 no. Lots of no's. Hopefully not. Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, it's amazing what some of these tactics can do. We got a hell no here. So, run. I already did, got the early bird special. It was such a good deal. Okay, Bradley was clearly a plant in the audience to get you to buy. Um, right, maybe Sean's just like, how bad can this go if I buy? I need to know. I can't stop watching this series. Yeah, so for most of us, we wouldn't buy. You see what I'm saying? People think, oh, I got to be good at the pitch, but the pitch is up at the tip of the pyramid with the sharing. That's where that belongs. It's the tip of sharing is the pitch. And people put all this emphasis on this, but actually, the place that people decide if they're buying or not is the point of view, not the pitch. It's the premise, not the pitch. And so this is the thing. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine you go to the workshop and it's amazing. Like you've never been, it's just, you've probably, some of you have been to workshops, I know, where you could measure your life as there's your life before that workshop and there's your life after that workshop. You know, that kind of consequence. And why? Because it made so much sense to you. Somewhere in your life, you were lost and confused, and that workshop clarified everything. It made sense of something where you'd been drowning. And maybe there was a book too. You read a book like that just happened to show up in your life at the perfect moment, and it was exactly the thing you were needing. So imagine this then. You go to the workshop and it's that good. I mean, it's just so enormously clarifying, but the pitch is mediocre to bad. It's not that good a pitch. Do you think it's conceivable that you would still buy or approach them to see if there was anything to buy if they just sort of mumbled through the thing? Like if you were really struggling with a problem and what they said made more sense than anything you'd ever heard, but the pitch wasn't good in the chat, do you think you might still buy? Honestly, what do you think? Many times, yes, 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 yes. Not sure. Yeah, that's honest. Yeah, thumbs up. Yes. Yeah, perhaps. Good. That's honest too. But you can see the difference in the responses. Not guaranteed either way, but there's a pattern. And this is so important. Don't focus on the pitch. Don't focus on getting better at the pitch. I'm not saying do a bad pitch, by the way. That's not the point. Don't mumble through the pitch. Of course, share it well, share it clearly. But this is where people emphasize everything. Oh, I got to be so smooth right at the end. But that's not when they're buying. You see, during the presentation, they are either starting to lean forward and lean in with interest, or they're starting to lean back. And then at the end, by the time you get to the pitch, they're already in position. And if they're leaning in, they're more likely to buy. And if they're leaning out, they're less likely to buy. The point is not to get everybody to lean in at all. But the point is that you make such a good case for the perspective that your people, the ones who are a perfect fit for you, are leaning in. And the ones who are not a good fit for you are leaning out. That's the idea. I could talk about this for so much more time, but we got to keep moving. All right. So, but you can't start with point of view. I mean, as important as that is, I do a whole 3 month program on point of view, but as important as that is, you don't start there. You got to start below that with niche, meaning, you know, what do you want to be known for? What's the role in the marketplace you want to be known for? What's the reputation you want to get? Um, Because, by the way, if you want to struggle with marketing, if you just have too much money and marketing is too easy and you're just like, I want a different experience, I get it. I got your back. If you want to struggle with your market, I'll give you one way. It's so easy. It's like 4 words, no problem. Be everything to everybody. Ta-da! And your life is harder. You're making less money and you burn out faster. That's what happens there. Yeah. Being everything to everybody is kind of the end of everything. The people pleasing thing doesn't work in business. So here are 5 examples of clear niches. I love this one. Joe Byron Russell from the UK. What happened to us? Therapeutic coaching for couples in crisis. With all of these, I want you to notice that you will immediately know if this is you or not. There won't be any fuzziness or equivocation. You know if you're in a couple, you know if you're in crisis. Yeah, you'll know if you're saying to yourself, what happened to us? Yeah, so it's evolutionary.love, Joe Byron Russell. Next, Alex Baisley, Big Dream Program. An impromptu wander around my kitchen, an invitation to check out my Big Dream Program with the topic of life purpose, life direction, finding your calling, and put more simply, figuring out what the sweet holy fuck am I doing next in my life is a big question for you these days. This program is about that. I shared this one for a reason because it's a little rambly. Yeah, it's not like a pithy headline, but make note of this: clarity over brevity. Clarity over brevity. I would rather you ramble in a clear way than are brief in a fuzzy way. And so we know what this is. You kind of know if you're trying to figure out your life direction and what you're doing. So bigdreamprogram.com, Alex Baisley, gentle genius, beautiful man. How about this one? This is from Nasanka, who was in my membership and actually helped run my membership for a while. Are you parenting with a narcissistic partner or ex? Yeah, you know if this is you, right? I can help you preserve your sanity, take your life back, and help your children thrive. Coaching with Nasanka.com. Very clear. Very clear. Of course, you know why the narcissist crossed the road. They thought it was a boundary. You know what kind of how many narcissists it takes to change a light bulb? None. They use gaslighting. Hey, there you go. You got 2 narcissist jokes out of this webinar. Where else are you going to get that? All right, moving on. Amy Hartle. Taking care of your body after a breast cancer diagnosis can be overwhelming. You don't have to do it alone. You see what I'm saying? You know if this is you or not. There's no fuzziness here. And this one, thetinyviking.ca. This is Liz, who was in my membership, or still is, I think. And for parents of kids ages 3 to 7 who kick, bite, scratch, and throw. Again, you know if you're a parent of a kid like this, who's a little Viking. I mean, every kid, does these things. But some kids, it's a lot. And you imagine you're the parent just trying to figure out, oh my God, what do we do? So those are 5 examples what a clear niche can look like. But you can't start with niche because underneath that, you got space. You got to actually have enough space in your life. And this is something I've come to over the years. The base of effectiveness is space. If you don't have enough time in your space financially, time-wise, emotionally, nervous system space, physical space, your environment, if your environment is cluttered and you are overwhelmed in your calendar and you are always tight on money and your nervous system is wired, stop. It's not going to work. Everything is going to be really hard. One of the first things I recommend that entrepreneurs do when they're kind of spinning out, tidy your physical environment. Get at least that's an easy win for space. Number 2, go through your calendar and cut everything that you're half-hearted about. Create space there. You got to throw some elbows, get some space. Sometimes you got to get a part-time job to get the financial space. It's not a failure. That's a strategy. Sometimes you got to get financing, get a line of credit, borrow some money, whatever it is, but you got to get the space that you need so you can actually do the strategic things. Because without the space, people tend to just jump to sharing, don't they? They just skip all the strategic stuff in here and thinking about it. They just jump to sharing in a mad panic, and it doesn't work. So those are the 7. I'm curious, which of those 7 in the chat do you think you would focus on over the next year? If you had to pick one, and by the way I recommend thinking about this is start at the bottom and just think, okay, do I have that at least 7 out of 10 solid? And if it is, move up. So it's like ethics. 7 out of 10? Ah, I'm dodgy as hell. I should start there. Great. Or, okay, no, that's good. I feel pretty ethical. Space. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Got to start there. Or no, I got enough space, but I don't think I have a niche. God, I'm all over the place. Which one feels like the starting point for you? Yeah, for Bradley, it's sharing. We got niche hubs. Great. And I recommend making a note of this for yourself. This is important because if you're stuck at a certain level, if all you do this year is just work on that level, get that level together, everything above it gets easier. Most of the time, when people have problems, they say, "Oh, I'm having problems with sharing." It's almost always something before, or I can't find hubs. The problem is not at the hubs level, it's probably that you don't have a niche. Or if they're struggling with even at the niche level, it's often not there. It's often at the space level, sometimes even at the ethics level. Because I'm just trying to get the sale, and they're not even thinking about fit at all. So there you go. Okay. And isn't it true, by the way, that the business I asked you about at the very beginning of this has a lot, if not all of the seven fundamentals in place? Aren't they ethical? Isn't there a sense of spaciousness about them a little bit? Don't they have a clear niche? They're doing something specific. They're not trying to be everything to everybody. They've got their own aesthetic, their own taste, their own style, their own thing, yeah, and their own point of view, their own unique way of doing it. Don't they have good offers? Isn't that why you like it at the business model level? Maybe they've done some hub work and done some interesting collaborations and partnerships that have grown their business. And they've clearly been okay at sharing their work. So I just want to flag that because it's easy to think about this just in terms of the coaching world. But any business you think of, the successful ones that you admire probably have most of these in place. So the recap here is sharing your work is easier and more effective with the seven fundamentals in place. Yeah. Just this tip of sharing, like the signature workshop thing is a lot easier with these things lined up. Luckily, in the signature workshop training, we're also going to be talking about a number of these. A number of these appear. Uh, of course, sharing is there. Hubs, Bradley's going to be giving you a lot of not sort of philosophical thoughts about hubs, but the practical how do you do the hubs for the signature workshop? The business model, there'll be some conversation about, well, yeah, what do you offer afterwards, after this piece, thinking that through. Then there's the point of view piece. That's a lot of the signature workshop. What are you going to put in it? Of all the things you could share, what goes in it? Niche, I'm going to be talking about that in the first session. I'll be giving people live feedback on their niches and sharing some thoughts and ideas about it. Space, you're probably going to have to handle on your own. But I do recommend if you're going to do the program, just make the space for it. If you're going to sign up, carve out the time to do it. Give yourself, I don't know, how much time, Bradley, do you recommend for people in this program?
Including the live sessions, I would say if you can block off 5 hours a week to
Yeah.
like stick with the homework, because there's 2 weeks between each live session. And that gives you enough time to do all the work and post your work inside of the community space. I comment on every single post. When you post your outline, I read it. When you post your landing page outline, I read it, I comment, I offer feedback, I help you refine it. And so you have 2 weeks between each session. If you can't make the live sessions, you can always watch the recording. It goes up the same day so you can stay caught up.
Thank you. Yeah. So 5 hours. By the way, that's a little pro tip for you to take for your own business. How much space do your clients need to work with you? Like, how much time do they need in order to actually get results? Because you can filter for that. Because, there's a bare minimum. There's some, as clients are like, I could spend 1 minute a day. It's like, oh God, go away. Please. You're just not serious right now. So you can filter for that. But yeah, so that's the kind of space I would give yourself. And then the ethics, we just assume you're not dodgy. You seem to come from reputable sources. So we assume you're okay on that front. But of course, it's woven into the whole thing. But here's what I wanted to say. Even with all these seven things in place, it's not enough. Yeah, there's finances. People have inherited wealth and debt. There's institutional structural forces, which are for real. There's legacies of trauma, which make everything harder. And then there's other business skills, bookkeeping, administration, people skills, design. So I don't want to make a panacea like these seven fundamentals kind of cover everything. There are other things. I'm just saying all things being equal, your marketing will work better with these seven fundamentals in place. That's the idea. Here's a thought I want to in the last 5, 10 minutes. I want to leave people with in the chat. Let me give me an amen if this sounds true for you. If you would say something like this for yourself. I am fucking terrible at self-promotion. Can I get some amens? Is that true for anyone? You're like, I'm no good at promoting myself. I struggle with this. This is hard. I feel awkward when somebody's like, "Hey, do you want to tell everyone about your business?" It's like, "Oh God, no. Oh no. Don't don't give me a chance to market myself. Whatever. God, please. Could you talk about me?" Yeah. Okay. Lots of amens. So this is what I've found is that yeah, okay. Bradley feels okay with feels just fine now. But here's the thing. Part of the reason I phrase it that way is because this is how I hear it phrased. And there's two thoughts. One, you're not promoting yourself. You're clearly not selling yourself. How do I know? Because when they leave, you're still there. They didn't take you with you. So it's not you. So something else is happening. But it can feel like that, hey, with the service, because with a product, they do leave with a product. But when it's you, what are you selling? What I want to submit is we're the etymology of the word selling has its roots basically in sharing something in response to a request. So that's what we're doing. We're just sharing our point of view. We're sharing ourselves. We're sharing our vibe, our presence, but we're not trying to convince them to buy us. That can take the pressure out of it away. Because there are some people in the world who are very confident trying to convince everyone that they are personally amazing and they're trying to sell themselves and they're called sociopaths. So for most humans, though, we're a little shy and the idea of me promoting me can feel a little awkward. And of course, it does get more comfortable over time. That does happen. You've been, especially if you've been in the same business for a while, it starts to feel easier. But this is what I want to submit is that basically, you're never going to be great at self-promotion. You will only ever be less shitty at it. This seems like a bummer of a way to move towards the close, I know. But wait. I, I might have a weak finish. Uh, no, there is a point to this. There is a point to this. Uh, I just think this is true about humans. I think we generally feel awkward about promoting ourselves. So if that's true, that this is a kryptonite just across the board, and there's nothing to be ashamed of for feeling awkward about it, what do you think is the human superpower? If there's kryptonite, it's got to be a superpower. So in the chat, what do you think if self-promotion is kryptonite? What is the unique human superpower? What do you think? Yeah, we got all sorts of things. Being genuine, connection, authenticity, transformation, helping others, empathy, collaboration. Yeah, okay. We've already had the correct answer twice. Yeah, but it's good to think this through. Yeah, three times now we've had the right answer. Or the answer. Those are all good answers. But for the sake of this, I think self-promotion is kryptonite, but our superpower is promoting other people. Because isn't that true for you? That you're not so good at promoting yourself, but you can promote other people really well. You're so good at that. In fact, that business, the local business that you love, you've given them a lot of business. So let's put that all together. Self-promotion is often kryptonite. Promoting other people is our superpower. Put them together. What does that become? It means that marketing, among other things, is about making it easier for the people who already love you to spread the word about you. That's the idea. You make it easier for the people who already love you to spread the word about you. Why? Because other people will always be better at promoting you than you are. Universally, you'll never be as good as your people at promoting you. They're just way more keen. If I go to a networking event and I see you talking to a hub that could be important to you, and I walk up and I say, "Oh my God, you haven't met Steve Emerson? He's the man. I can't believe this. You two haven't met Steve. God, he's the shit. He's the best at what you two have to work together. This is amazing. I can't believe you haven't met. You two have to work together, right?" It's a little over the top, but I'm talking my man Steve up. Everybody understands it. But now imagine instead of me trying to up Steve, I'm upping myself. I go up to somebody, I'm like, hey, have we not met yet? I can't believe we haven't met 'cause I'm fucking amazing. I'm incredible. I'm the best at what I do. We have to work together. This is just kismet, synchronicity. I'm so good. I can't believe we're going to do stuff. There's an old Scottish Gaelic word for this type of action, uh, douchebag. You know, you see what I'm saying? I can do it for somebody else. I just can't do the same thing for myself. So I just share that because I know this is a place a lot of people struggle, and I hope that gives you some relief. Okay. So, yeah, what does marketing become? Yeah, you make it easy for the people who love you to share your work. That's the idea. Make it easy for those people to share your work. And by the way, Signature Workshop makes it really easy for the people who love you to share your work. Why? Because it gives them something specific to do instead of just, oh, I could just tell people about your work. It's like, hey, everybody, come to my living room, come to the Zoom thing. I'm hosting this person I really love. You're giving them a practical way. It's the genius of social media in a way, is there's the share button on things. Like Substack has a share button. Every post has a share. So it makes it easy for people to share a tiny thing. And a signature workshop makes it easier for people to share a bigger thing because it creates an occasion where there's something to be shared. So how long does this seven fundamentals approach take? Well, I don't know. How big a priority is it for you from 1 to 10? That's the first question. But assuming it's a high priority, this is what I found. In 1 hour, hopefully you've begun to see some of the gaps that are obvious. In a month, you're going to learn some new language. There's just a lot to, it's a whole new language. In 3 months, you will probably feel discouraged and overwhelmed with everything there is to do because you start to look at all the seven fundamentals that you don't have in place. That's understandable. But in 6 months, you really start to get it and things start to click. In a year, you're going to have the basics in place. And in 3 years, your business is totally transformed. It takes time. That's what I'm saying. It's easy to. I wish I could do it for you, all the fundamentals, in a 30-day thing. But in my experience, it takes more like 3 years. But then you have it. Then you've got the foundation solid, and then everything else you do is easier. So give this a year. That's the idea. So everyone take a deep breath in. Talking so fast here. So the two invitations. Now I'm not going to do a big one on this, just because we're promoting something else. But I do have this membership, right? If you resonate with what I got, marketingforhippies.com/membership, and I've got this starter kit, which you can check out, marketingforhippies.com/SW-starter-kit. And this has a recording of this presentation, a 15-page workbook, a one-time 50% off code for all my products, and access to my office hours, free coaching, group coaching that I do every 6 weeks or so. So, anyways, I'm not going to go into it too much, but this could be the point in a presentation. Sometimes you might want to do it earlier, but where you would just share, here's the next level of my thing. Yeah. And this is the thing I want to underline. The pitch doesn't have to be enormous if the point of view is strong. If you don't have a strong point of view, it's all got to be loaded into the pitch. And I think it's just better to emphasize the point of view. So, in closing, remember, depth is the antidote to desperation. That's the idea. And doing this work on the fundamentals can feel like you're going backwards, but you're going backwards in the same way that an arrow goes backwards when the archer is about to fire it. It makes no sense, right? Because you can see the target is over here, it's in front of him. So, why is he pulling the arrow away from it? Well, because every inch he pulls it back sends it several meters further forward. That's what the fundamentals work is like. It's like pulling the arrow back and it goes much further than he could just throw it with his hand. Yeah, that's why you have a bow. So I'm going to read a poem. There's a last thought and then we're gonna end. So this is an abridged version of a Khalil Gibran poem. It's called Half Lovers and I think it just so speaks to what I'm talking about here. It goes like this. Do not love half lovers. Do not entertain half friends. Do not indulge in the works of the half talented. Do not live half a life and do not die half a death. Do not accept half a solution. Do not believe half truths. Do not dream half a dream. Do not fantasize about half hopes. Half a drink will not quench your thirst. Half a meal will not satiate your hunger. Half the way will get you nowhere. Half an idea will bear you no results. Half a life is a life you didn't live, a word you have not said, a smile you have postponed, a love you have not had. The half is a mere moment of inability, but you are able. For you are not half a being, you are a whole being who exists to live a life and not half a life. So half the ethics will ruin your reputation. Half the space will be too full. Half a niche will confuse people and bring you the wrong clients. Half a point of view will leave people unconvinced. Half a business model will not shelter you. Half the relationships with hubs won't get you enough clients. Half the sharing won't reach enough people. And half the beauty will not restore the soul of the marketplace, which is, I think, what we need to do. And so don't get, if you're going to do the signature workshop, I just recommend don't get half the help. Get the full deal if you can. It will make it easier. So that's what we're about here: beauty, ethics, effectiveness. One more deep breath. I hand your marketing back to you, hopefully in better shape than it was when you brought it. That's my signature workshop. Thank you for coming. Feel free to stay in touch. Marketing for Hippies. If you like this workshop, tell everybody. If you didn't, just zip it. Nobody likes a whiner. The end. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So now we will open it up. Um, oh, actually, before that, Bradley, yeah, do you want to just talk about I've sort of been talking about the training, but do you want to give the spiel about it? Or I can give the spiel, or how are we going to do it? Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. So this is the thing. This is the sales page, um, magicmedia.com/signature workshop. So the pitch is grow your audience by thousands, craft and tour your signature workshop in 90 days, meaning you're going to leave the training having done the signature workshop already. It starts September 10th, goes to December 17th.
And I'll just add to that, Tad. It's not just about the workshop. It's like there's some
It's huge.
really important systems that make this a scalable marketing strategy that are 100% essential to do the thing what you said earlier about making it easy for people to share your work and making it easy for you to get bookings.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah. So what you've seen is like the tip of the tip, right? You've seen the sharing piece of this. This is the workshop, but how, you got to figure out who you're going to approach. Then what are the emails you're going to send them? Are you going to create a page that's going to make it easy for them to share the word? There's so many, Bradley's brilliant with this. There's so many systems to get in place to make this work. Because otherwise, what you can do is you can put a lot of time into the presentation, and that's great. But then you do it for your list, you get a lot of people. You do it a second time, you get way less people. You do it a third time, and there's crickets. Now, who are you going to do it for? And you call a friend and they say, okay, I'll promote it, but then what? Oh yeah, this is great. This case study with Cynthia Hauk. I think we both emailed our list about this. This is just if you want to see what does this actually look like on the ground in the real world, here's a case study of somebody who really took this bull by the horns and rode it all the way to glory.
And she's still doing it. I mean, this number is now over 50 bookings this year. And so, if you take 30 minutes to listen or watch this, but it'll really show you like the lessons learned, the hardships, the struggles, also the successes. She's only delivered half of these, and already the email list has grown by over 2,000 people. So you think about like, and I will say, it's like the majority of people either will not respond or they will reject you. And so she used, we have like a job description that people can use to hire somebody to manage their signature workshop, which Cynthia did. And they sent 400 emails to book their 50 bookings this year. So if you have, this is the most important hire. If you have a social media manager right now that you pay money for, this is a
Mm.
much better use of those funds is to turn that social media manager into a signature workshop tour manager.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. If you have to choose, that's an easy choice.
Easy choice.
Yeah. Right. So here it is, right? First workshop, I'm doing niche your workshop. Then session two, Bradley's going to do a quick, dirty design your workshop, the same session process he took me through. Then we've got the craft, your offer and landing page. So the page that people are going to see, in terms of coming. Is this one that this is the page of the people attending the workshop see?
This is where you create the actual landing page using the templates that we have and crafting your offer, your marketing emails that you have. So you pull all the materials together and then the create your workshop experience. This is around like how do you design an experience that people want to stay for the full 60 minutes that actually offers a true result. So that's the experience part. We're going to be dipping into this a little bit on Friday's workshop around like what do you actually put into the signature workshop to really have a potent, powerful first experience. Because most of the people coming to your signature workshop may not have ever heard of you before because they're getting introduced to you through whoever the host is going to be. And so, how do you create the most captivating experience that is the best introduction to your work or as we have in the workshop Friday is like the mountain metaphors. Like this is the bottom of your mountain and the top of your mountain is the ultimate transformation that people experience when they go through your programs or they hire you or sign up for the thing that you offer. So that's that one is really crafting that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you keep going. Yeah. What's that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
about?
So then we go into marketing your workshop. So you're going to be delivering your first signature workshop trial run before you go on tour. You're going to do 1 to 3 test runs, which is something I wish I would have done. I did my first test run. We had 1,100 people sign up for it, which is not the ideal way to go about testing your signature workshop because I learned so much from that. And I've since done it 45 times, and I wish I would have done the 45th version to that group of 1,100. And then you deliver it. There's a 2 week period where everybody is going to deliver their signature workshop. And a part of the cohort is like everybody, if you're posting for feedback in the community, uh, the intention and invitation is everybody is commenting on 2 other people's posts. So you're getting tons of feedback, not just from me, but from all the other participants in the space who also become partners to host your signature workshop and to show up for your test runs. And then we go into session 7 is all about building the system. So your media pages, your outreach emails, researching your hubs. How do you get your list of 100 so that you can really kick off 2026 with like the clear plan and strategy and systems in place. And then the Q&A celebration session, December 17th before we wrap up the year. We're also including 5 new bonuses. So you get a one-on-one session with me to kick off 2026. Once you've completed the program, this is going to kickstart your year. I run my Magic Mind community, which is a $500 a month community space. And I'm including in the training my 2 Magic Mind sessions, Thursdays and Tuesdays from 9:30 to 11:20, where we do hot seats, lots of coaching, teaching, feedback. You get access to those calls. Plus Coralie's every 2 weeks. She does a 90-minute tech session where you can just come set up your tech. If you're tech phobic, these calls are amazing because Coralie will coach and guide you and support you with research and whatever you need. Brand audit sessions with Katie, come get feedback on your landing pages. I do a monthly live workshop. You get access to those, and you get access to my email alchemy course, which is all about building your 5 part nurture sequence and your whole email marketing strategy. So those bonuses are all included now in the price, whether you do the payment plan or the full price.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can check this out. And here's our comedy videos we did if you just want to laugh, all aligned with the messages today. And if you're not ready, that's also okay. This will come back around next year. All the details are in the link here. Jesse, it's every 2 weeks starting September 10th, and it runs until December 17th. Okay. Shall we go to some Q&A?
Okay, right. Laura said, I'm curious why you started at the top of the pyramid and worked your way down. Right. I kind of set the foundation with ethics, but then for effectiveness, I went to the top and worked down. This is, I feel, an old teaching trick, but it's just a way of holding the group's attention that they want to know what the most important thing is. If you give them the most important thing right up front, then they're like, okay, at least I got the most important thing. But if you kind of save that for the end, if you work it in reverse order, it's like the top 10 list that David Letterman would do. Number 10, and he'd work his way down to number one. People want to know what the number one thing is. So that's there's different approaches to it, but I've always liked doing that, the kind of working it backwards. That's the idea there, yeah. Any other questions? Anything you noticed about the presentation? Could be questions about of course, the signature workshop training, but also any questions about why I did my signature workshop the way I did it.
I've got a question here from Fuller that came up earlier. So,
Uh,
which have you found more successful, engaging, transformative, leading to signups for other paid offers, repetitive 1 hour workshops, 1 to 2 times a month, or longer workshop offerings? So, I don't think Full is here anymore. I just copy and pasted the question as it was. If you want to give that a read.
Yeah, sure. I'll say my situation is a little bit tricky because, a lot of times if people do a day-long workshop, they'll make an offer at the day and people might sign up at the day. And I don't do that as strongly. Also, because my workshops are offered on a pay what you can basis. So it's a little tricky if people, that's why I don't pitch something so hard right there, because then they pay less for the workshop. But it's one of the wrinkles with pay what you can. So, my sense is if you had a longer workshop, it would be more effective for getting clients. The challenge is the scaling of it. Are you going to get people to come, let's say, to a much longer day-long workshop online? That is way dramatically less likely. I agree with Bradley in terms of keeping it to 60 minutes, because in 60 minutes, you can, it's a, nobody's going to bat an eye at 60 minutes. 90 minutes, people think about it a little more. 2 hours, now this is a decision. Now that's what I'm doing with my evening. Whereas an hour is kind of an in and out. So I think a day long might be more effective in terms of numbers, but you could do the signature workshop for an hour and then invite them to a day long something, and boom. And also, I'll make the distinction because you can do the signature workshop live in person. You don't just have to do it online. If you do it in person, it could be 2 or 3 hours because people are coming for other reasons, right? When we go to a live event, it's, oh, Barry's going to be there and Fred and Sally are going to be there. And I'll catch up with them. And there's the kind of community vibe. So you might get away with a lot more time and it's okay. But online, I mean, I don't think any of us want to be looking at this screen more than we need to.
Yes,
Um,
60 minutes is way more effective to get people to actually register and get their emails or watch the recording afterwards. It's just a completely different commitment level with the 90 minutes.
yeah, yeah. Sean said, "How in the world did you decide which of your darlings to kill to whittle it down to 60 minutes?" It was just so hard. I just had to. It's the same question you're all going to have to ask yourself as you design it, is what's most important to say? I mean, it's that was it. I was like, okay, what can I cut that isn't gonna, and I realized, well, okay, the title is the seven fundamentals, so we shouldn't cut those. And sometimes it was okay. I just can't give all the examples I'd like to give because I could just talk about it forever. What are the most pithy points I could share? And then there was some stuff that was just like there was a whole section I had about why does it matter to focus on just fundamentals in general? Why are the fundamentals the thing to start with instead of the shiny tactics? That was like 10 minutes. And there was a lot of quotes from people about the importance of fundamentals. And I just thought, okay, this is important, but I'm gonna have to just assume that people will get it as they go through. Um, it's just hard. I promise you, this will be one of the toughest things. Your first design will be too big, and then you're gonna have to trim. Don't try to not make it too big. It's just gonna be that way anyways. And then you gotta cut, 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 cut. And it's the Michelangelo with the finding David in the stone, cutting away everything that wasn't David. It's hard. Yeah. Nuria said, "Is the signature workshop as effective when it's virtual?" Yes. Yeah. Again, if you keep it tight to an hour, great. Um, but if you can do it live, I mean, and you enjoy doing it live, do it live. It's great. But then, are you going to fly to Toronto to do an hour-long presentation or an evening presentation? Suddenly you see the costs. You can just do it on Zoom and be hosted and reach, 50 people, 30 people, 100 people. It's a Makes more sense. Jocelyn said, "I'm doing pretty well higher up on the pyramid, but not solid on the space. Can you work on several if the higher levels don't need a lot of work? Can you work on several?" So there may be a question for another time. So yeah, let's bring that to the membership, and we'll dig into that.
I got one here, Tad, which I think people would be asking themselves is like, how clear do you need to be on the seven fundamentals to lean into the signature workshop strategy?
Well, here's the ideal. You've got that all dialed perfectly. It's all honed, and you've just been like trying to figure out a way to share your work, and this is it. That's the dream. Um, And in reality, people are going to be at different levels of clarity. So I would say the more clear it is, the faster the return on investment on this. If you're showing up to this with like all 6 levels below sharing totally dialed, you will get a very quick return on investment because you're going to be able to write the materials quick because you're going to know your niche, your point of view. You'll be able to design the signature workshop much faster. If you don't have it, this may be one of the ways you discover those things. Yeah, it's like the signature workshop is a bit of a dojo. It's a place where you go to work out your ideas. Same as writing a homepage. As you're writing the homepage, you're getting clearer in the writing process because you're having to think, what's the headline? Okay, well, what is my work about? Oh God. But so it's a mistake to think that they're totally separate things. Sometimes we find these things out in the practice of doing something specific rather than just the general work, which is also helpful. So I wouldn't let it hold you back, but I would be aware that if you really have none of it, it will take longer for this to pay off unless something really clarifies in the process. But it's the people don't give themselves the time and space to think about these things enough. And so this signature workshop training is a way of giving yourself space. And if you need more help, I'm available. There's other coaches available too, and Bradley can help you with those things. The clearer the better, but I would just say this is also a way of getting clear is working on something particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Samantha said, does your signature send people to the starter kit or the membership or both, or what's the reasoning behind it? Well, I'm not sure if Bradley and I have totally the same thoughts. Generally, I'll send them to my starter kit primarily. I just think that's where most people are going to go because most people will not buy. Like 15% of people, maybe on a good day, will buy right then. 85% will buy later on another day. So getting them on the email list to me is the most important thing.
The
Yeah, Bradley
stats
and I,
that we saw, it's like 90, I think it was 90% of people buy between 4 and 24 months. I have those stats in a blog post recently. I think that's the number. Between 4 and 24 months after joining your list, if they're going to buy, that's their buying window. It's not right away. It's not their first taste of your experience. And so that's where like the nurture sequences, like what you have your starter kit, that's where that comes in handy because you get to know them and having a proper email marketing strategy, that's the get to know you relationship, so you stay top of mind that when people are struggling with that problem or they're ready to dive in and receive support, you're the first person that comes to their mind.
yeah, I mean, I ask everybody who joins my membership, how did you hear about it? Now, some of them I will say, because I did a few signature workshops. I was like, oh, 2 weeks ago, I was on your signature workshop with John Paul Morgan, and I loved what you had to say, and I'm here. So that happens. You will get immediate transition from some. But largely what I hear from people is, oh, I was following you for years, and then it just was the right timing, the right moment. I had the money and the space, and here I am. Um, but then where are you going to find those people to even start following you? To me, the signature workshop thing is it's just so much more direct. Because on social, here's the other thing on social media, right? You're one of a bunch of things, and the algorithm's going to decide. And who the fuck knows what the algorithm is? Nobody. So it's going to decide which of your things they see. And so for a lot of people, it feels like they're just screaming into the void of nothingness with social media because there's so little response and what gets shared because you're not in charge of what they see. But with your email list, you aren't, at least now. That may change, but for now, in your inbox, boom, it arrives. It's chronological and they're going to see your email. So email is still the workhorse. But how do you get people onto your email list? There's a lot of ways, but I think the signature workshop is such a good way because any of those people who join from having seen the signature workshop, those people are interested in what you're doing. And a lot of them sat down through that whole presentation. So now they're interested. Yeah. Um, but I would still make an offer for something more. I just put those two, one for each group. I don't remember seeing a lot of testimonials. Why? I don't know. I'm not as pitch centric. I'm not as pitch heavy in my signature workshops. I have too many testimonials. It's not a problem of like a lack of them. I just have this overwhelming amount of testimonials. And I suppose I could put a few in. I just tend to be lighter on the pitch. Like, here's my point of view. If you like it, here's what I got. Um, yeah, that's all I got for that answer.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm not sure who said this one. It says, after seeing your pyramid, I found myself wanting to stop anything I'm doing already in order to get myself aligned. However, I do already have a few followers and clients, so wonder if I keep ticking along in my ad hoc way while I work on things. Any advice?
well,
I didn't copy the name down. That was in my notes.
I got it. It's Irony. Well, I would just say the ideal situation, the most sustainable thing is, yeah, pause, take a break, figure it all out, and come back. And for most of our lives, our cash flow, it's just not realistic. I mean, isn't this what we all secretly want? We want a cabin in the woods where we can just go read books for 2 years. Like, just people bring us food and we just read, and you'd have 2 years to think about your strategy. It'd be great. That is the ideal. It's you know what I'm saying? Like, you if you spend the time getting really aligned on this stuff, then when you pull the trigger on the thing, when you fire the bow, you've pulled it back, you've aimed it precisely, and boom, bullseye. You don't spend a lot of unneeded effort. It's actually more efficient to do it that way. And I'm with you all, on the space front. There's a lot going on, and sometimes I don't get as aligned as I could. It's better. I mean, if you can afford it, for the love of God, do it. If you have the space financially and time-wise, do it. If you don't, do what you can, and you'll just be further ahead than if you didn't do anything. That's my feeling.
Good question by Yannick here. Do you get people on your email list after the signature workshop or through them signing up? So it's through them signing up. So for example, Tad wants to host my signature workshop for his audience. So I build the landing page. Tad promotes this landing page to his audience, and I collect all the emails for people that want to come to the workshop. And when somebody else is hosting it, I add another bio here underneath mine that says who's hosting it. So it would be Tad, and then you just keep duplicating the page, and whoever your host is, you add a little section at the bottom of it. One of the other pieces that I'll be showing off on Friday's workshop is around your media page, which is one of the most important things for actually getting people to promote your stuff, is like how do you make it so ridiculously simple for them to promote your stuff, get all the information about it, book the date, get their affiliate link set up if you do that, etc. So I'll be giving you some examples of that in Friday's workshop.
Yeah, I share, by the way, the media page that Bradley's talking about. I created that for myself, for my own signature workshops. And I was trying to talk about it in my retreat I did this summer in Duncan. I was trying to explain the importance of making it really easy for people to share the word and about what you do. And one of them was like, well, but can you give an example? Like, what do you mean by this? I was like, ah, yeah, okay. And I showed them this page that I'd created with Bradley's help. I mean, just copying his template really. Uh, and there were gasps from everybody in the group. People were just, oh my God, that's so good. Because they saw the level of rigor that we're talking about. It's easy. Like, oh, here's a meme you can share, but we're talking about a much bigger level of rigor that is all up front. This is before you're reaching out to them. So when you reach out to them, they have everything they need. It's cut, paste. It's really simple because I promise you this, if you design a signature workshop and you find a hub, somebody who loves you and they say, I'd love to promote you. And then they say, okay, so can you send me the write-up? It's like, oh, I don't have a write-up. It's just about this, but whatever you want to write is okay. All right. Do you have any images? I don't, you make it, whatever you make up in Canva, that'd be good. It's over. I promise you, you will you'll have so much interest and then so little payoff for it. if you make it hard for them to share it, they love you. Some of these people will love you and not do it. And if they do it, they'll resent it. So this just makes it easy, keeps vibes good, lets them know that you understand how busy they are. Yeah, that page was one of the, I mean, that's the money's worth of the course in a way, is getting a page that makes it that simple. Because also once you see it, once you get the example of it, it's like, oh, now for other things I'm doing too. I could have pages like for the podcast interviews. I could do something similar like that. Again, make it easy for people. Sometimes the difference is they're like, I like you too, just the same. You're both good at what you do. You both have the same niche, but you are making it easier for me to share the word. And actually, I like you better, but this other person has made it easier. So I'll be promoting them. That stuff happens all the time. Believe it.
And that's how you turn it into a duplicatable, scalable system, which so many people lack in their marketing. And when you have it be that easy, you remove all of the barriers of resistance, where resistance typically holds us back from actually following through on the strategy because we have 50 things that we have to do in order to execute a strategy. Whereas this is like a system, somebody says, yes, I want to host you. And instead of 20 emails going back and forth, it's like one email where you introduce them the system and they get set up. And it's just easy and duplicatable.
Oh. Uh, a question of how culturally relevant are you for German-based businesses? The culture here is different in North America. Okay, you'd already answered that. I don't know.
I mean, I can only speak for the people that have come through the program. There's a couple Germans in the Magic Mind right now that are going through the whole process, and I know one of them's all the way through and starting to get bookings. So um, I don't, I don't know.
I will say this. I think the cultural thing gets overplayed, frankly. I've had people in England say, "Oh, well, we don't do we don't go for that sort of American marketing stuff." And I'm like, "You invented the tabloid. What are you talking about? You don't do the garish, pushy marketing. You basically invented the modern headline. This came from you. You, their tabloid media is insane in the UK. So believe me, humans are humans wherever you go. Yes, there's cultural differences, but this gets leaned on and used as a kind of excuse to not promote. And of course, yes, there are differences, and you've got to be mindful of that. But you're translating a very similar humanness across cultures. It's not we're trying to. It's not like the cultures are so different, and you're trying to find some common humanness. It's mostly common humanity. Humans and our nervous systems kind of our psyches work the same wherever you go, and it's just adornment culturally. But basically, we're the same. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think that's a great place to leave it off, unless you got any final words of wisdom for us, Tad.
Thank you so much for coming. I hope we'll see some of you in the training. I'm looking forward to digging into the niche stuff, giving you some thoughts in the first call, and then joining you again in the last call. I think we've said everything that needs to be said. Grateful for your time. We'll see you down the road.
Beautiful. And Sean, on that note, I'm just going to answer this one because it just popped up as you were saying it. The 85% who sign up for your starter kit and give their email seems like you need something ongoing in place to keep their interest and keep putting your paid offer in front of them in a way that you don't turn them off and they unsubscribe. Can you talk about that? That's where the email marketing strategy comes in, like having the nurture sequence and then an ongoing email strategy where you're consistently getting in front of them. And that's where you find your artistic expression of like how do you like to create? How do you like to show up and inspire? And that can look so many different ways. And included in the training this year is the email alchemy course, which helps you really map that strategy out in a grounded way.
Take
That's
care, everybody.
peace, everybody. See you Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific for the next one.